each other. But the reason why I'm doing this is that I wanted to show you both of them side by side. So this is the coat that I've been working on. If you guys saw my, I think it's a 2-hour stream I did yesterday, you guys saw me having to hand sew the rips. And this coat, I could not figure out what it was. So I heard speculation that it was rabbit fur. I just went with rabbit fur because I had never seen anything like this before. I'm not too familiar with coats. I'm obviously not too familiar with furs. So what I decided to do is I joined a online group, and there are groups online where they basically, they are fur lovers. So something like fur coat lovers, fur lovers, things like that. You'll find these people, they are very passionate about fur coats. And so I thought, let me post in one of these groups because these people know a lot more than me when it comes to fur identification. I posted a picture of both of my coats, and the consensus was that it was one type of fur, each of them being one respective fur. There was no confusion. So for us, right, because we are pretty much noobs, a lot of us were saying, oh, we think it's rabbit. Oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. I do remember someone in my comment section said that they felt that this was mink. And I thought to myself, oh, I'm not familiar with any mink that's multicolored. Here's the thing. There is mink where they use different little like scraps or sections of minks and they sew it together. So when you guys saw me trying to repair this, remember a little section came off over here? Yep. So this is called a white and ranch mink section coat. Based on the style, I was told this was indeed about 40 years old. Some people think that I won't be able to repair it because it is showing signs of age. If you guys remember when I was repairing it, there was some rips that I was forming, and I could bring it to a furrier. You can see that there is some wear over here. See that? I didn't cause this. It's just, age. This thing is older than I am. So, having a piece like this, you definitely have to maintain it. You're supposed to bring it to a furrier, having it cleaned every year. You can do cold storage. I heard that fur coats like having 50% humidity. 50%, 50-degree temperature, I think 50% humidity, and you're not supposed to put it right like this because the coats need to breathe in. Also, you're encouraging them to rub against each other. But because I'm just an average consumer, this was a free coat, right? I thought to myself, I'm just gonna keep it in the closet, try to space it away, and that's it. So fur coat, it's not as simple as just buy it and just throw it in the closet. If you don't maintain it, if you're not aware about leather condition, it will deteriorate over a number of years. A coat that is well maintained, that is put into cold storage, will last many years. But if you're just being like how I am, and this coat was not stored in a temperature controlled facility, it's going to show signs of aging, and that's exactly what happened to this coat. So whoever guessed mink yesterday, you are correct. Vintage mink, white and ranch mink coat. This one, I asked you guys a while back, what do you guys think this one is? Now, there were different, I remember some people said, oh, they felt like it was rabbit. I thought to myself, I don't know any rabbit that has fur this long. There was also speculation that maybe it could be raccoon. And I posted in that group and I said, what kind of fur do you think this is? The consensus was off the bat, a brown fox. Didn't say what kind of fox, but it's some kind of fox. So I'm going to just run with it because the only comments that I got about this jacket was fox. I'm going to run that this one is fox. So these are my two fur coats, as I showed you guys. Both of them I bought vintage. Well, this one I bought vintage for $60, I think back in 2019. And then the other one, as you guys saw earlier, the mink one, that was free. Someone was giving it away. The story behind that coat was they received it as a gift from someone. That person bought it from a thrift shop. So the coat that I showed you previously, the mink, that's had at least 3 owners. The person who donated it to the thrift shop, the person who received it as a purchase from a gift shop, and then me. So a 40-year-old coat having at least 3 owners, I think is really great. And this one, I don't know how many owners it's had, but since I purchased it from a consignment shop, we know it's definitively at least 2. And yeah, so that is all I wanted to say about that in case anybody is wondering what kind of fur it was, because I know I asked that question in my community page. I also asked it inside of my videos as well. And I'm happy that I feel like, yeah, we came to a consensus that it's a fox and mink. And I hope that I can maintain this for many years to come. I do want both of these jackets to last 20 years. And even if, if I give them away, I hope that it's maintained for another, 10 or 20 years. These coats, I don't take them for granted. You can see that I do read up on maintenance. I do try to, look at the coat and try to say like, okay, well, let's see, let's see if there's any wear and tear. This one I didn't see any except the lining. See that? You can see it over here. See that lining? And this is the kind of thing. So when you see people, if you see people on the street with a fur coat, don't assume that they bought it new, because a number of people, these are vintage coats, or it's hand-me-downs, or they're buying it from a consignment store. I do want to go off on a small tangent over here. You guys know my thoughts about fur coats. I would not, for me, I don't recommend buying a new coat unless it's something that I felt was truly a pest, like a nutria rat. You guys can look that up. Nutri, nutria rat. It's a pest in Louisiana that actually has a $6 bounty on it. I put a post in my community page if you want to read up on it more. But in terms of fur coats, I would not buy any fur coat new from China. I'm not in the market to buy any other fur coats. The only reason why I got these 2 fur coats is that one was, the other one that I showed you was free. This one, I went into a store on a cold day, and I was so surprised that this jacket appeared to fit me perfectly. And it was one of my dreams when I was younger. I always thought like, oh, I want to have like a furry, shaggy coat that fit me well. And I remember I used to go over to like Bloomingdale's and try on their furry coats. Of course, there's no practical reason wearing a furry coat in Hawaii, but I always thought it was so beautiful. And I'm not going to spend $400 on a coat. But when I saw this on a cold winter night and it was only $60, I told myself, I said, you know what? I'll take care of this coat. I will, I don't think I'll come across another coat like this ever. And sure enough, I haven't come across another coat like this. I've seen it in stores. You can see that this one, I don't know if it's just the way it is. Like, I feel like one looks a little bit more sparse than the other, but for something that's like 30, 40 years old, you really can't be too like picky over here, especially because this isn't in cold storage. But point being is that I would highly suggest, if you do buy a fur coat, buy vintage. Don't fall into the faux fur trap where people say, oh, just buy faux fur because it doesn't harm the animals. My personal belief is that it's much more sustainable to have a coat last 30 or 40 or 50 years than a piece of like a hunk of plastic that doesn't degrade. And in terms of like passing it forward, I don't think a faux coat will last that long. I'm also worried about the shedding of plastics. Like, I don't want to be wearing plastic on my body, and then if it sheds, I feel like I'm shedding basically the equivalent of a Christmas tree on me. Versus this, if this thing falls off and it has shed on me, then I know it's just, it's natural. It's a natural material. I can bury this if I really wanted to in the ground. About 1.5 years, it's going to thoroughly decompose because it's a natural material. This lining probably won't, because this looks like polyester. This does not look like a natural material, but everything else, everything else would be fine. Anything that isn't plastic. So that's what attracts me to this. But again, I'm not looking to buy anything new unless it's maybe Nutria Rat, and I'm quite satisfied having 2 fur coats. So I will talk to you guys later, and you guys take care. I have a lot of things that I need to post in my free groups online, and I do have pearl necklaces, by the way. So I have that, and then I also have jewelry, but you don't really see me wear jewelry. I don't like wearing expensive jewelry. I don't have any desire for expensive jewelry. But if I do buy jewelry, ideally it would be fake jewelry, like cubic zirconia jewelry, or it would be vintage, because I think it's much better and much more sustainable to buy vintage, and support small time sellers. If you buy it on Etsy or if you buy it on Mercari, that kind of stuff, then buying it from K Jewelers or something like that. Okay, guys.